Hi, I'm Clifford Bates, and this is not the Friday live stream. Okay, this is Friday, 19th of July, and I am basically out. I'm not able to do the live stream today because I'm actually going to be on the road and in a car for most of Friday afternoon and wouldn't be back to do the live stream. So it's very frustrating. So I thought I would do the recording of it prior, before the day before, and just doing it. Well, it's been a crazy week, right? And with the attempted assassination of Trump, which basically it was inevitable. I mean, it was going to happen given the demonization. I mean, people forget the shooting by the Bernie supporter of uh, the Republican baseball game, and was it 2018, 2019? I forget. And the media just no. The media in the media, the Democrats, the Biden people, the left, and their media allies, and the way they have demonized not only Trump but also Trump supporters, have basically created an environment by which, basically unstable people will try to take a shot at them, and we and the ridiculousness of the whole situation is even worse, made by the complete weaponization of all the American institutions, that the governmental security institutions, as well as the embracing of woke ideology, forcing DEI goals on employment and hiring, not only in the military but in the Secret Service. In fact, was made most evident in the assassination happened. It was, I mean, I was listening to a lot of my military friends in America, people who are special forces and career service people, security people engaged in security and things like this. I've known cops as well, and they're just don't understand what happened. It was a gross incompetence. I mean, what happened? I mean, the more we hear or discover about this, makes it even more horrifying. It's a Haslam's laser. Don't attribute to malice what can be easily explained by stupidity, or or the way Donald Rumsfeld phrased it: never attribute to a conspiracy what could be more easily explained by incompetence. But at a certain level, this becomes This goes beyond pure incompetence through bad hiring and bad administration, to the almost intentional setting up of the president, setting up of Trump. I mean, you don't want to go that far, but the fact that they purposefully, that Jill Biden was going to be given this on this last possible moment, given an event in the same region that Trump was, Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, as well as the vice president being in Pennsylvania at that time. And therefore, first of all, since the nomination only happened this week, so he's now the formal that. He's only the ex-presidents, and ex-presidents or don't get the same level of support, Secret Service support, that, let's say, the president does. So, in other words, the president and his immediate family gets all the support. So the fact that Jill Biden was going to be nearby, and the fact that it wasn't Trump's A team, in other words, Trump's own team that he usually has with him, was replaced by people who were not necessarily part of his team, and maybe temporary. We're being told temporary agents. In other words, they put the trainee team on Trump. And looking at what everything happened, the training team was a disaster. Go watch some of the very good YouTube commentators. Chad Williams had I forget the guy, I forget his name. He's a Green Beret sniper. Chad Williams' website, a Williamson website. It is, Chad is not a right winger or something like that. He's just an internet host who talks about these things, talking with military guys and service people and like this. And he's a podcaster, kind of a more old traditional form, not the Joe Rogan type, but a little more kind of, I call it the deals with less. It's just different than Rogan. His style is more cerebral and calmer than Rogan. But Williamson's talking with this Green Beret guy, but describing the events. I've heard other people, or former SEALs and people I know. I follow on their. They beg me to follow on their Twitter. People I know. I've known some people from friends. And some of them say, "Watch this guy, watch that guy." And some of the people I know. A friend of mine I was sleeping Saturday night here. It was when the assassination happened. It happened like around 12, around midnight, early 1 in the morning. And I was sleeping. We were preparing to go travel, leaving the next day to go to my in-laws' house because my wife has to deal with her elderly mother far away outside of Warsaw. And we had to go check out, spend a couple of days there. That's where I currently am. And a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, Polish friend, he works he kind of is a civil servant, in fact, in the Polish system, in that he works on UN institutions. And he told me, he woke me up saying Trump assassinated, he survived. And now this is 1 in the morning, okay, 1:15, 1:20 in the morning in Warsaw. My wife was not happy being woken up in that morning. What the hell is he calling at this hour? And I spent the next hour kind of watching, trying to get some information that it was very, in fact, ironically, it was Twitter that was the best source of getting anything. I turned Twitter. And it was horrifying in that sense. It was shocking. It was, it was what it was. It was, just a chance, providence. People say providence, divine providence, luck, that by turning his head just a little bit, he avoided being killed. It was, and the more we hear about what happened and how the police, the shooter was confronted, just in fact, he might have began shooting because the gig was up. He was rushed in that sense. But even then, the sniper teams could have taken out before, and they didn't do that. The more you hear what's going on, it's like, why? What's going on? They didn't. The sniper teams didn't start shooting until after the sniper started shooting, and it was just. It was simply just unbelievable in that sense. It is an iconic one, and then Trump's wherewithal and presence of mind to try to convince, in one sense, if you listen to what happened, there seems to be chaos. There seems to really be chaos from the point of view of what the Secret Service did and how they behaved. They didn't get him out right away. They delayed, and Trump had to, Trump at a certain point. Trump at a certain point, says, "Well, put my because his shoes fell off when he got pushed down. His shoes fell off. Well, I put my shoes on." Instead of just lifting him up, they couldn't lift him up. The team couldn't just lift him up and take him to the car that they should have done. Trump understood the situation in a way that perhaps maybe many people don't. That he, gestured to the crowd, and he tried to, his fight, fight, fight. Um, and then the New York Times photographer getting that iconic picture. If that doesn't get a Pulitzer Prize, I don't know what that was. This is an icon. This picture is going to go down in the history of icon next to Iwo Jima, the flag at Iwo Jima, the that the napalm girl, you name it. This is a and the flag, just in fact, so much the New York Times had to kind of block out the flag. Um, well, that's just here nor there in that sense. It is the press is behaving the way the press does. The press who's been feeding the line that Trump is a demon and a monster. That in fact, on this day after the assassination attempt, the what do you call it? The New York Times ran a full page ad denouncing Trump as unfit. It was just that is unthinkable. I mean that was that was beyond the pale. Um, in the same crowd, people celebrate. The left was kind of like, "Oh, too bad! They missed him." Come on, this is and then when when normal people react negatively to that, that censorship. People, you guys who talked about how bad cancel culture is, you can't do that. And this is here I am agreeing with Tim Pool. It's all right. We're not against. I think Tim Pool is absolutely right on this point that. I'm not going to get involved in the whole destiny crap. I mean, destiny is a piece of shit, a nobody little worm that I don't understand why anyone has bothered to take him serious. He's a little pusillanimous little shit that anyone who takes serious. I never understand. I mean, some people I know. One of the guys that who got me to do this kind of stuff, who kind of twisted my arms and actually interviewed me a couple times on his channel, always engaged in the debates with these people, right? Like Vaush. And why? I will admit that I decided that I needed to do something like this kind of thing, in order to kind of not necessarily respond or challenge the Sargons or the AAs, academic agents. In fact, I agreed a lot of times with. I didn't disagree 100%. I had some problems with it, Sargon's liberalism, and Sargon's evolution took time. Sargon really evolved politically as AA did in that sense. Um, um, and that was because of what they were in that sense, and many of the so-called Gamergate types and the things I kind of entered this as kind of like okay guys, you're interesting, you're right, but you don't understand things. You're not really informed about the nature of conservatism and ideas and these ideas you're embracing. You have a kind of little bit superficial understanding of it and things. And maybe those some of those people with my background, I'm a political philosopher. Okay, I study political philosophy, political science, political things. My own personal experience with the right is I am a child of both New England liberal, not liberalism per se, but New England republicanism, Republican Party, which is not conservative in this traditional sense. I understand the normie Republicans, and the way working, and also because I worked with working class people after my degree and things like this. And I grew up in a kind of old mill, nice, not a suburb town in the borderline between rural, kind of quasi, not rural, but in some aspects of rural, and then the dying industrial aspects of the mills, right? So it's not that and I understand that, and I grew up in a very democratic state, Rhode Island. Okay, so this is not like I'm ignorant of how all this. And I went to Providence College. It was very liberal. I mean, it was always a kind of Democrat school in that sense, even though Catholic institution. But I went there after going away a couple of years at school in New York and having to return because of family issues. Um, then I went to, another conservative school. I saw myself a person of the right as a high schooler, and that I was very much very men on the right in that sense. So when I look at this from a completely different point of view in that sense, than the Gamergate types. I mean, I'm much older. Um, and I was already in Europe when, I was teaching over here in Poland in my American Studies department. So it, so therefore it was interesting to see what's going on and follow these things. But, this whole debate, this debate, we're going to debate, vouch and debate. Why? I think I asked President Sunday, why? Okay, I understand the problem was he. I mean, unlike me, I have a job, and that's it. I'm a university professor. My food and my living and my things are taken care of by my job in that sense. I'm doing this kind of as a form of doing my duty as a teacher, as an educator. And I'm not big of a channel. I'm not getting help by people really. My Patreon doesn't really exist. I did it up there maybe as the kind of like a means to kind of get a little bit of extra, something that I could like buy a book once in a while with. But no, and even my book that I published, I thought I'd do a lot better with the students buying it, but apparently it doesn't get. It's not. It's too expensive, I think, and that's the reason why my Aristotle's commentary, my little Aristotle's Guides to Workbookers, which would be great for students students studying the politics. It doesn't. It made a couple hundred sales, but nothing much more than I thought. Not as much as I thought it would. I thought it would be a very good book, but the price pushed it up a little too high. People said, "Oh, it's $30 for a book." Okay, no. $28. I was hoping to get it be no more than 20, but that was hard given how big and detailed it was. Uh, um, uh, you know, here I'm, and I always no, and I really confronted Sunday because Sunday and I tried to do something about Montesquieu. We started one time recording, and we had one recording, and then his schedule, our timetables completely different. I'm in Poland, and he's in the west coast of Canada, right? On Vancouver Island. So I mean, it's like it was impossible to kind of, do things. It's not, and he was much more left wing than I am in that sense. We met because of an academic. I was posting things, and he didn't believe. He read my book. He was shocked that someone like me would write about AA. Now, I mean, I have my criticisms of academic agent, but he's interesting. I mean, he was one of the more intelligent people in that the emergence of what I call to call it alt right is something else. It's not correct in that sense. As the Gamergate internet YouTube phenomena. And people tell me, why don't I write? Why don't you go write a book about this? You're an academic. You should do it. I mean, I was hoping for some good biographies of this, and the only thing you get left with diatribes and totally understanding them. And people say, "Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it?" To be honest with you, I'm not. My own interests are very specific and narrow, and lately I've been having trouble writing. To be honest, it's been difficult. Honestly, after COVID hit, and how it affected me in terms of being my eyes have been really affected in a certain weird way, and just I recovered and things like this, but it's been tougher. It's tougher to do things. Pay attention to, so people say, oh, maybe you should get medicine. No. So I'm just trying to get my books done on Aristotle. My book on Aristotle done in some articles. I had to, I was trying to get my piece done on the Constitution that I written, and it's disaster. And I have to go make some edits to it thing on Constitution, the thing I get for the book. And then I have to start. I really have to sit down and write in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be home for like 3 weeks. I'm going to go back to Warsaw for 3 weeks. They say I agreed with my wife, but no, she's going to have to come back to her mother on like in the early August to go to the doctor. But then we have our doctor. And then after that, by a week, I'm going to probably come back here. But I'm going to spend at least 2 or 3 weeks in Warsaw and last finishing my Aristotle's anthropology piece. I have a lot of notes. I'm going to do that. But again, this is okay. You guys say, well, how does this have to do with Vouch and Destiny or Destiny? This might come in because I've seen Destiny's destruction. How Destiny showed us true colors. That was Destiny. That was always Destiny. This is nothing. And what Destiny did following the shooting of Trump revealed his true colors. After a time when all of a sudden a lot of people started giving him attention, like when, I didn't understand why the fuck Jordan Peterson interviewed him. Oh, we have to interview him. He's a serious person. No, he's not. Just because a whole bunch of morons say he's serious, we have to take him seriously? No. I'm sorry, but the likes of Vouch and the likes of Destiny have never been serious. And anyone who treats them as serious don't understand what the fuck serious means. And that's why I'm shocked that, really shocked that Jordan Peterson did it. And I think because Jordan Peterson put him in, kind of interviewed him in a certain way, I was just, Peterson to me is a very interesting fellow on his own right. But, he's, that he, interviewed someone like, Destiny is just like, really? No. I mean, you could, even that interview was a kind of example of Destiny's simplicity. Destiny's trying to make a case, and, maybe this was an attempt by Peterson to kind of intervene, to kind of help, but it was a waste of time. He's pathological in that certain way. And he revealed his kind of small-souledness. Go read your Aristotle's Ethics to understand the characters of people. You can see that with a kind of the small-souledness of that little dwarf, what he is in that sense. He's in it for the money. He's in it. He knows that the shock he'll know that enough people on the left will appreciate what he says and they'll turn to him. The similar sociopaths of the radical left, who's been, they're going to see in him as, oh, yeah, he's one of us and we should listen to him. When they turned on him, he went to the right, and there's some, a lot of people on the, someone were debating us, or not debating you, why? It's not about debating you, because, in many of these debates, it's all just rhetorical bullshit. It's not the quality of the argument, it's not, arguments. No. This is about, people like Destiny are trying to kind of scam people to get attention. And they use this idea of debating you. You're afraid to debate me, and tricks to kind of bait you into engaging in them. I'm not trying to engage with them. I don't want to engage with them. I think it's a waste of time. It is a waste of time. Read a book. I mean, I never watch anything with desktop. I mean, I don't spend any time. I watched bits of the Peterson thing because it was on my feed and it fed in. And I said, oh, why is he doing this? I was more curious. I was more curious at what the fuck Jordan Peterson was doing, interviewing this carnival sideshow, than watching what Destiny had to say. And to be honest, it was kind of a sad spectacle of that going on. So that's just my little take, on the Destiny little thing. I mean, this is what I jumped over. I understand this is not really thought out in any way. I know some of my YouTube, people were kind of like, we have a lot of ISI doing Collegiate Study Institute with Burka is doing a lot of interesting things. But I never get invited, so it's like, I don't have I'm not rich enough or afford enough to do these things. I can't even go to NatCon or get invited to a NatCon event. I'm not important enough. Oh, because you don't write anything. That's why. Well, yeah, I'm a teacher. I teach art institutions. Oh, but you're teaching at a marginal school like Warsaw University. You're not at a, come on, look at some of the other guys. Okay, yeah, Notre Dame and places like that. Okay, yeah, okay, they're superstars. What else? I'm trying to get something. Hold on. Right now, I'm looking at something. I want to see if some feedback from our last live stream. I did a weird thing on Saturday. Last Saturday, before these, I did a kind of a preemptive live stream in the morning, in the afternoon. I forget what time. Let's go look. Okay, comments. Hold on. Well, we're kind of at, we're still like, okay, nothing. Corliss didn't put his post anything today. This is Thursday, the day before. I had a weird live stream. I'll show it. I'll just go look at it. I did a Sunday live. I did my Friday live stream, and I did something on Saturday, simply because I was kind of in a weird mood. I was fixing something. I just finished my recordings of my. I think I finished my recordings of the Prince. Yeah, I did a test at 12:12 because I was trying to check something out. I was thinking about using a new microphone because people complain about the microphone, and I tried to do that, and the test was a complete disaster, as you can see. And I honestly had 12 people check the test out. Then I did the Friday live stream on the 12th, which was. It happened the way we did live stream on the 12th, and then on the 13th, I just did a Saturday brunch. Why to do that? It was kind of a joke. I didn't get many viewers on it. So far 12. It was only less than 30 minutes, but that was what I did. I finished the thing. I scheduled the introduction to politics things. I posted them to schedule for August. So most of August will now is scheduled. I have to just do one more roundup video for ending the Machiavelli Prince for the 31st. I have to do a video for August 1st, wrapping up the Prince, and I should do that. Well, we'll see how it feels. I'll probably do it when I get back to Warsaw. I'll have time and just do the video. As you can see, I'm not. I've been shaved. I got a haircut, and I don't have the big beard anymore because it's summer. My wife decided to give me a trim because it was just too hot. Um, but I think I wrapped up the ethic with the beard, so it's gonna be funny doing that last video without the beard. Um, like I said, this has been the kind of busy travel week. So I mean, wrapping up on the Trump assassination, that was neither to me. It was what it was. It was a kind of a iconic moment. The Destiny reaction, that Destiny, that Destiny, that discussion about Destiny got dealt by Pierce Morgan is just sad that anyone why did Pierce Morgan have to talk about Destiny? Well, because of Destiny's reputation that created. Because come on, this is. Oh, because he would talk with people on the right. Really? No, come on. Um, the other thing is JD Vance. JD Vance is. See, I didn't think Vance would be picked. I think it was too risky pulling from the Senate. I would like Vance to kind of have, need some spend time in the Senate. But I think the assassination did something. And I think Rich Barris here is right that if you put if you put a Tim Scott, a kind of more traditionally conservative, more conservative, inky Tim Scott, or Marco Rubio, I think if anything happened to Trump now, um, um, uh, those guys probably will dump Trump's agenda. I don't think. I don't think. In many ways, much of Trump's agenda, Vance was already on, except the personality. I think substantively, Vance agreed with Trump's positions on many issues, but just didn't like him and didn't know him in 2016. And he was tied to, and he was being courted by conservative institutions, as was Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel and gangs were just getting into the Straussian network. Peter Thiel was, um, and he was interested in Strauss and meeting Straussian people, the Straussians left and right. Um, and I think Thiel's interest in this and the connection between that and you have to understand that it was not Vance's relationship with Thiel was their industry and sectors, and he turned it because Vance's story is white trash kid going to the Marine, poor white trash children of drug addict, alcohol and drug addicts, who grandmother took care of them, and that rural Kentucky, Tennessee, not rural Kentucky, Ohio, surviving the destruction of the working class, growing up in that environment, surviving, graduating, going to the Marines, getting the Ohio State University, and graduating in 2 years, going to then Yale Law School, um, getting recruited by a finance firm, going into financial enterprises, going to finance. In other words, he was an entrepreneur who, in finance, tech sector, and did things with finance or tech sector. So I mean, he was and then his writing his biography, his story, becoming that. Then his Senate race. You look at him and you look at this, and this is a kind of John F. Kennedy-esque, without Kennedy's status and privilege. Kennedy's story is less interesting because it was that of a child of the powerful, Catholic powerful, but the very Catholic political machine family, and corrupt, power, wealthy family of power and prestige. So I mean, So you look at you look at Vance, and then Vance is a life insurance policy. Who dares take out Trump now? Because you take out Trump, you take out Trump now, you get Vance, and Vance will. I think Vance scares the left more than Trump will. I mean, Trump, Trump's a nice guy. Trump's at the end of the day, this idea that Trump's going to be this monster dictator, and it's unbelievable. I mean, he talks tough. He's a bullshitter. He's a hyperbole style. I mean, I had an uncle on my mother's side who was the same kind of hyperbole, um, you know, exaggerated and created, not only more lies. He was worse than Trump in that regard. The stories, the whoppers he told. Now, I always liked that uncle compared to the other uncle. I mean, to be honest, he was interesting. He was generous in a way that the other uncle was not, never. Um, and I look at Trump, and you look at Trump, and those characteristics I saw in that my mother's my mother was the elder child. Um, the middle and the younger. The younger child was the good, hard-working, do-gooder. You know, very conservative with his money, accomplishing things, staying, and the middle child was kind of a bullshitter, exaggerated, hyperbole, a little bit of an exaggerator in that sense. My mother hated them. My mother was the opposite. She was the alpha child, right? Alpha child, um, and she resented her brother. Not, her brother, had some mistakes, and my mother had to help him out. And of course, people don't always pay back. And mother held it. Mother was chip on her shoulder for all her life, and never would always love to throw that. My mother was the kind of person who throw. I helped you, and you didn't do. You behaved this way. Just throwing at people. No, my uncles. So yes, he had his flaws, and people do have flaws. But in many ways, he was the more gregarious, generous person I've met in that sense. Batesy, that was what's funny. Batesy. Uh, just why? I mean, I think now hit my uncle's son. His eldest son hates Trump. Whoa, Trump's the monster. I think that's because he hates, a little bit of psychology here. I think he sees his father and Donald Trump a little. The things he hates about Trump are the things he hates about his father. Um, I'm going to personal family history here in that sense. Maybe I shouldn't, but that is, honestly what I think in that sense. While the sister, sisters in their 60s, 70s now. Oh my God, they were getting old. They were when I was a kid. They were in their 20s when I was when I was just like 10 years old. They were already in their 20s. The youngest one was about 5 years. My uncle's youngest one, who had his name, was the one about 4 to 5 years, 3 to 4 years my age, close to my age. Um, no, yeah, they had 5 children. Five children, 3 boys and 2 girls. My uncles, both my uncle and his wife, they've been long dead. Only the youngest, uh, uh, my mother's youngest brother, uh, is like in his 90s and still living with his wife, even though there was some problems with his wife's health lately, and people were concerned. But Why I mentioned this, why I'm talking about this, I don't, it's Trump. I think it is Trump. I think it is Trump in that sense. Trump reminds me of that. And I think the reason why they picked Vance, I think he picked Vance because he knows that if something happened to him, he wanted to make sure that that his agenda would be accomplished and not have someone betray it like Pence did. When push came to shove, to betray it, to underdo it, and to want to look good rather than to do the right thing. And that's what's the problem with many of the Republicans, the Republican types that came on to Bush. Lindsey Graham will kiss up the Trump. Haley is trying to kiss up Trump. But no, you don't trust them. Okay, you don't trust them at the rock, so you can throw them. You use them. You have to use them to achieve your goals. You might give them some responsibility, but nothing really. I mean, not important things because they can't be trusted. I wish Haley would just think about running for the Senate. Return to, I don't think she can return to governor. Or run for the Senate, run for Congress or something, do something useful. Instead of just trying to I want to be president. Please. Those days are long gone. You're not gonna. There's no chance. You have no chance. Unless you become a Democrat, and then the Democrats wouldn't even touch you. So what about things? Well, that's about things. I don't really have much to say. This is going to be maybe a short video. I don't understand, people saying, well, why'd you do it then? Why didn't you have a video talking about these things if you're not going to really prepare? Well, I was hoping that I would be able to come up with some more things. Only thing I have to talk about is in the future live streams, I want to talk about some aspects of things, about elites. I want to talk about elites. I think I've been really thinking about Pareto's circularization of elites lately, and why the internal elites there's a problem with this, and why globalization has led to a culmination or a collectivization of the elites into a single group. And then the fact that, why have Western elites deteriorated in the last 20, 30 years? Why has American elites have become globalized in that sense? I mean, globalization, the globalization has affected not only the workers having their workforce going to the third world, moving the jobs from the first world workers to the benefit of the third world worker, but the nature of the elites have changed. That in Western countries and things like this, you can see that the elites no longer have any real connection to the people that they're supposed to be representing or things like that, and rather they have more agreement among themselves, which Robert Michaels predicts would happen hold on, I gotta go my nose. Robert Michaels predicted will happen in his political parties, right? Elites will formulate and shape the way they do in the well, unlike a live stream, I could stop this, and I had to stop this because the wife came home to my mother-in-law's, and they were making noise, and I had to shut the door. So, the elites have been a problem, and that they changed. The American elites are no longer like and this is a problem of averages. Come on. I mean, if you look at the global elites, most of the elites from the third world, there are more of them in that sense. There's more of them, and that collectively, you look at the larger world. You look at how the elites at the global stage are from India, China, Asia, Arab world, developing world, Latin America. These elites up here Once you want, and then you can add the European and the American elites. What happens? Well, I hate to say it, regression to the mean. In other words, that I'm sorry, the amount of elites that the third world elites start to dominate and become the norm. They become the modal point of behavior. And therefore, what happens is that Western elites will alter towards, it's Grisham's law. It's regression to the mean and Grisham's law and behavior in that sense. That, the new, the fact that there's so many of these third world elites into the no global system, who don't share the values of the European elites and the Anglo-American elites. First of all, Anglo-American elites are already a small little pock within the European elites. There's a big difference between, let's say, a Scandinavian Nordic Northern vision versus a Gallic, Gallic and Iberian and Southern and then Slavic and the Balkans and Greek European identity, then the Anglo-American in that sense. The Anglo-American elite is a unique elite. So if you compile all these elites within the European elite, that's already kind of going to shift things away from the Anglo-American position towards that. But then you add the larger global picture of the Arab world, the Arab wealthy elites, the Asian, East Asian, and South Asian, and elites, and then East Asian elites, and then the elites from Africa, and then the elites from Latin America, South America, and Latin America. You get these elites have, they're going to be far more common, and therefore the median position of those elites are going to be farther to the 2 points far away from the old median of the old elites of the individual countries. And therefore you have regression to the new mean of that. Therefore the behaviors, they adapt the behaviors of the larger group in that sense, and the attitudes and treatments of people. This is why the return to feudalism and the Anglo-European perception that the elites wish to return to a feudalistic position rather than a situation where they're totally dissented and looking at the working classes and people not as subservient and wishes to maintain them and not challenge them, is a big thing. And in Poland, this is a big problem with the elites, is that they're immature. You don't have an elite. Your elite is not the elites of places like the communist world. These elites emerged from the corrupt political party of the communist rule that emerged at post-Cold War, and the elites are immature. They're, it's like looking at go back in time to like the 5th, 6th century AD, and you'll see in Europe, Western Europe, the way that the barbaric kind of way of the emergence of those elites. They're very similar in that sense. It took centuries. It took 500 centuries. Took more than 500 years to make gentle those Western European elites. So it doesn't happen overnight. This is the problem with political development, that you can think you can shake and bake it. You can't. It's a slow process. Cultivation, civilization is a slow process. And globalization that thinks it's one size fits all doesn't understand statistics, doesn't understand the way, how do you get averages out, how things. I always show, one of the things that as a teacher, I noticed that, I used to go to compare the state schools and the private schools. These private schools in Europe, Eastern Europe, were disasters. Why? Because you couldn't, in other words, it's usually, you paid to go to the private schools, and people paying for studies were usually worse than the ones who got into the state university programs that were for pay. for free. Okay, so therefore you had a situation. Now what happened was that they so expanded the larger thing as the population shifted and shrunk of new generations, and they expanded the workforce of the university to meet the needs of the transition period in the 1990s. They didn't really want to shrink the university, but they therefore all of a sudden what happened was that they destroyed the private schools. The private schools no longer, because that sector remained so high, the population of new students decreased. Then what happened was the private schools, but then the quality of students were gone to crap. And that you saw this in private schools. The private schools, because it was you didn't have enough good students to raise the average. You had a you have to understand the concepts of means, the medians and means, because if the median behavior, the mean behavior is going to be low, then you're stuck. It's not therefore a very good student in a situation where the people are like the median position is very low. They have to do nothing to stay good. I mean, they have to learn nothing more. They can just coast, and still maintain their A average. They have to do nothing. Now, if you have a situation where the median is like B plus, the qualities of B plus students, then what happens is the better students have to up their game. They have to compete. If the competition is the ones who want to be number one will try harder, and that what happens is you say, okay, the quality would be B plus. Okay, now B plus becomes C, and for those who that's how grading really works. Not standard deviation, diversion. The way standard deviation operates in that sense. This is competition. This is why it's good. You don't want to compete. You don't want a situation where the majority of the population don't care or don't have the ability, because if you're surrounded by dumb, lazy people, then everyone's going to be dumb and lazy. You need to have this is a very interesting phenomenon about regression to the mean in that sense of behavior. People conform to. This is the nature of human. Monkey see, monkey do. If the average behavior is this way, then people are going to respond. This is what the average and median behavior is. I don't have to. This is the one that we're going to accept. And okay, I will. Most people, some people will achieve higher, but there's not a pressure on them to do better than they do. And therefore, this is a problem politically in that sense. This is the way to understand social structures and social reality. And that's why I've been interested in elites. When we talk about elites, I think the problem is we don't really understand the artificiality and social construction of elites. Yeah, elites are a product of human behavior. This is that interconnection between the natural, the behavioral natural, and the constructed. This is why these things are not. It's not a binary. It's not a kind of either or. It's a both, and the interplay between the two. And I've been thinking about Pareto in that sense, and I'm trying to find a good translation of Pareto, the discussion of centrality of the sacrality of elites. I have been really thinking about that in that sense. I think I want to look at that. I looked at Mosca, and Mosca is mostly about the competition between state authority in that sense. So Mosca is basically just Michael's with a little bit more clarity. It's Pareto who's the one who really tries to get it. I understand it now. What is it? This is the Michael's is iron law, right? That's where the iron law really comes in there. It's Mosca looked at the personal characteristics of the and distinguishes in the two groups, right? He distinguishes between the, say, political class and non-political. Mosca asserts that, in other words, Mosca and Michaels are very similar in the sense. It is Pareto who really wants to look at the it's that really part about the idea of circularity in that sense. This is what I would like to look at. He wants to look, they all go into the question of governing and non-governing, right? That's the whole big thing. And the nature of here is that the the nature of governing and non-governing is gone, because that that is that's horizontal revolution. See, that vertical, up down, right? Vertical is this way, horizontal this way. Most revolutions are horizontal, not vertical shifts of power. It's the one elite group changing the other elite group. This is what they talk about Mexican revolutions in Latin. Most places are just revolutions within elites. That's our perception of the vertical revolution, of the up and down, the French Revolution or social revolution, is neither here nor there in that sense. Now, why am I interested in Pareto? I think it's the interesting aspect to understand the way I think it is the regression problem. I know many of you are going to go, regression problem. What are you talking about? No. It's we're looking at groups. We're looking at group behavior, and we're looking at the way behaviors distribute over time. Any group is always going to have a distribution in that sense. And that we understand elites in this situation. We understand that the creation of a global elite took individualized national elites and then brought them in a situation, had them interconnect, and therefore they created a new body through intermarriage, interconnection, shared interests. And they created a community in their own lights that had their own interests, their business interests, and their economic interests that were often transcended national interest, like the Googles, the corporations. Well, this is a problematic thing. This is the thing, that exact point of formulation of elites that both Michaels and Mosca hit. So to understand, we want to talk about the ruling class. Well, you have to understand the way they emerge. And you can't escape them. The idea that the people are going to be able to govern themselves. This is where I kind of agree with AA, that you're never going to have a self-regulating entity. This is the problem. I think that the nature of any organization will lead to the creation of those leaders. It will create people who need, in other words, any organization, you can't just have a group of people. There's going to be someone who take control. You just can't can't govern by committee. You can't operate things. Just the rules of efficiency and effectiveness and doing things and deliberating is going to create the pragmatic reality of things working, and things being done, and accomplishing things. Creates a situation where you need to have people who are competent and capable of take control or lead. And of course, sometimes it's consensual, sometimes it's not consensual in this sense. And I think this is the insight we should take into this. Well, I'm at near my hour, and I don't want to go any further on this. I just want to do my little short. I hope you like it. I don't expect people to really like it. This is going to be kind of I think a low thing. I apologize again that this is not a live stream because I'm going to be busy tomorrow. Like I said, I'm going to be very busy tomorrow. It doesn't, traveling and not being able to make my appointment, my 5 o'clock appointment. So take care and have a good one. Like it, hit the like button. Please put comments and put your suggestions. Please put suggestions on things here. I need topics and themes of what you want me to talk about. I really will talk about things that you want me to talk about in a sense, except if it's completely crazy. I mean, someone said, "Why did you talk about?" I got a Twitter thing. Why did you not talk about the Trump? And I did that today. And I probably didn't do it well, and probably explain my own feelings about this, not in the best way. And you can tell I'm kind of like, I'm in a kind of mood. I think the exhaustion of the summer and my allergies and allergy reactions to things are just getting bad. And not in an air conditioned environment too. That's going to be miserable. Um, so please put your comments, questions, and issues like that behind there. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, that, but say, you can put your negative comments in it, Chris. Hey, you suck, man. You're a fucking loser. Yeah. Destiny's great, man. Right? That's just, go ahead. Engagement's engagement. If you not subscribed, please consider subscribing. My God, we lost a couple people. I think YouTube, some counts probably were deleted from YouTube. They do this every time, every so many months. They look at things and say, "Well, this person doesn't exist anymore." So, and therefore I lost a couple people, gained some and lost some. So, I'm. Was it? What was the number? What was the number? It was 484. Yeah, 484. What a weird number. Yesterday's video performance was the 18th. The reading Machiavelli's issue the 18th, and today's probably at 6 will be on the 19th chapter. Wrapping up the arms and man. Talking about it'll be a long video. Today's video, but tomorrow when you see this on Friday, this would be on the time of our live stream always. So what else? My social media. You want to follow me on social media? Please do it. I think follow me on X would probably be better than follow me on X. Probably be better than following me on Facebook, because I'm not always accepting people as friends on Facebook, and my public thing on Facebook isn't the most active. I apologize for that. But I exist on Facebook, so mostly because of friends and family, and also colleagues and people like that. I still like it, and sometimes I put some of my crazy thoughts there. Twitter, I'm not that active on Twitter. I kind of post a couple things on Twitter. I'm not a certified blue thing. I'm not going to pay for it. I'm never willing. I'm always kind of joking about that. You can always follow me on academic social media links that are available, academia.e, ResearchGate, or the more formal places like Orset and Gang. Another thing is you can, help contribute things by Patreon or Subscribe Star, or buy one of my books through typical usual means that I mentioned, like your local bookstore, Amazon, or online distributors like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or whatever, or through the publishers themselves. I hope people would start buying my Aristotle book. If this couple hundred students did that, that'd be wonderful. Studying things globally. I know everyone reads the politics in college sometime. So I mean, hundreds of thousands of students globally do that. If only a couple hundred did that, that'd be a nice gift. I could buy my wife. We need a new car soon, because the green people, the mayor of Warsaw, put a ban, and our car is like a little too old. 2004, 2005 car. I think is that a 2000? No, maybe it's real old. Maybe it's 90s. Cars from the 90s, and it's old. It's not new. We inherited it from my wife's father-in-law who died. We got his car, and I like the car. But now Warsaw is going to say, you can't have that car. It's too old. You need to buy a green car, like the Nazis, the green Nazis. And cars are expensive. I don't get it. Even though I make had a decent salary, but I could have, wish I made more. Um, so, if I sold just a couple thousand copies of my books by students, it would have been just wonderful. That's why I tried. I thought, my God, every student's going to want this. Every student's going to study this. This is a good study guide how to study. No, it went nowhere. So, well, maybe it was not. No, people don't know about it. Okie dokie. Well, that's it. I'm going to stop. I'm over my hour, and I bullshitted and talked with you for a long time. I hope to see you again next time on the next live stream. I should be there. I hope I will be there. Okay, take care. Bye bye.